So when I look at the overall calendar here, immediately I'm seeing that there's a lot of bullishness on the screen. Is there anything out there that's bearish? Well, I jumped into the calendar and I'm looking at gold and silver. When I strip away everything, I look at gold and silver. I'm seeing a lot of gold and silver ETFs that, yeah, they kind of start out bullish, but by the time we get to the middle of the month, I start seeing some red on the screen. I start seeing some yellow on the screen. It's telling me that we're seeing mixed areas in the gold and silver areas. And by the way, this also extends into cryptos and commodities, right? So the commodity section, precious metals, industrial metals, now start to fall off of the bullish track that they've been on for the last couple months. And in fact, with the case of oil will completely come off the bullish sector here within the next 30 days. So I'll be looking at potentially bearish opportunities in oil, and not just because of what's going on in the Middle East. So other than that, that's what my calendar looks like going into June. I'm going to lean into some bulls, and we'll start with the bulls that we see this week. So when we go into the seasonality for June and we look at the ETFs only, again, even with the ETFs, I'm seeing us going from the high 70s to the high 80s in terms of number of ETFs that are bullish versus number of ETFs that are bearish. If I take a look at those ETFs, bring in the top three, here's what it looks like. I've got QQQ sitting out there at number one, right? A lot of trading opportunities. That means that when I'm looking at total trades, I'm looking at trades that are seasonal, last week, this week, next week. And there's a lot of lumping and clumping. That is very, very good. We're seeing 59-day opportunities going into today that have had an average return of over 7.7% from today through August, around the middle to the end of August. Same holds true for DIA, right? And then, of course, XLK rounds out the top ETFs that we see. QQQ, DIA, XLK. Here's the Qs first. As you can see, that big bump off those April lows that we saw going on. And I mean, I don't want to say it's a straight line up, but this is as straight line as I've seen. You know, if we look at channels, I mean, there's a number of things we could look at here, you know, but you've got channels that just continue to move on and on, right? That's the Qs. Lows down here in the 550s. Highs, we're just coming off of 740 as of Friday. A little bit of a pullback coming into today, but then it's all about, well, where does it go from here? And, you know, if you were to try to stay on some sort of a track, not saying it would, but if we stay on some sort of a track going into August, this puts us up or above 800 by the time we get into August. Now, let's just take a step back and again, look at the information that I just shared with you. 7%, all right, coming off of today. So if we take 7% of, let's call it 736, all right, well, 10% puts us close to 800. 7% probably puts us around the 780 mark. So we could use 780 as a target for QQQ, right? Let's take a look at DIA real quick. You can see with DIA, Dow Jones Industrial Average, same thing, April lows down here around the just above 450. Current high is above 510. Remember, the DIA trades at 1/100th of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And if we're looking for, let's call it 7%-ish, that probably would put us somewhere around just below 550 for a target by the time we get into August. And then the last one of the three we were looking at on the board was XLK. So here's XLK. XLK is the Street Track Select Technology sector. Lows below 130, highs at 192. This one we were looking at a projection of 8%. And again, that puts us well in the two. If you take a look at 10% of 200 is going to be 20. Let's say 8% puts that around 15. From 192, that puts us around, let's call it 210 as far as a projection going out into the summer as well.